A very beautiful morning to you out there. Thanks so much for joining us on Political Platform. Wherever you are listening to us, we are glad that you are there to pick up all the reports we have for you this morning. Political Platform we take a look around or go around Nigeria, provide you the updates on current political developments, policies and programs of government, and we take feedback from you through Political Platform at yahoo.com. I can assure you that the Mandela fever is still around Africa, and in Nigeria we have some persons talking about the qualities of Mandela, not just ordinary Nigerians. The president talked about the qualities of Mandela yesterday, and our leaders are saying we should imbibe the qualities of Mandela. And we have on this program said it is not just the leadership, but even the followership should imbibe the qualities and the character of Mandela. We'll also be taking a look at a major issue this morning, and we're happy that the leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics are right here in the studios. We have been calling on them to come on, and we are glad that they are here today. And today on the program, we'll be looking at the details of the issues with the Polytechnics. Somebody has written to us that today is the 69th day of the strike in the Polytechnics, and that nothing is being heard, but we can assure you this morning something will be heard. Okiri Albonsuremi is my name, and my colleagues are here. Amechi Anakwe is on the platform with me this morning. Amechi, welcome.
Thank you, Okiri, and you're welcome to the program.
And we also want to quickly let you know that the president seemed to be moving around. Now, when I say the president, I mean the PDP, I mean those who are in authority. They seem to be moving. The report said that there was a meeting between the governor of Sokoto State, Wamako, and one other governor, and the governor of Kano State, Kwankwaso. That meeting was held maybe I think probably to begin to find ways to attract those governors who left the PDP back into the fold. We have been trailing on that report for you. We have been working on it, and we'll be giving you updates on what is happening. And we also have more reports from you across Nigeria on things that are happening politically. Now, let's go to our mailbox first, where we usually will begin. Political Platform at yahoo.com. Now, who is talking to us this morning?
A very beautiful Monday morning to you out there. Welcome to the mail segment. My name is Etenikang Akepu.
I am Chinemerem Ugu. Good morning.
And lots of tribute are still pouring in as the world mourns the death of Nelson Mandela. So is this mail coming from Jim Obi, who is writing us from Abuja. His titles this: Mandela in our everyday life. He goes on to say, I watched over the weekend as encomiums and tribute to Mandela poured in. But one thing I noticed is that many people expect our leaders to be like Mandela. What I have to say here is that we all in our individual lives should strive to live the Mandela life, and not only our leaders. Only then can we be one.
Still on the death of the icon Mandela, Vincent Ubaja writes us from Port Harcourt in Rivers State, and he titles this one, The Mandela's Vaccine. He says, now that Mandela is dead, I suggest a curriculum be introduced in schools in Africa, and every student should study about the life, sacrifice, and ideals of Mandela. Say Mandela 101, 201, 301, and 401. Again, is there no way scientists can understudy his remains to see if a vaccine can be developed against corruption, nepotism, and tenure elongation? We need to vaccinate our politicians. Long live Africa.
And more on the death of Nelson Mandela, Jeremiah Oluwole is writing us from Alagbado in Lagos. And the mail reads, the entire world stood still when Nelson Mandela died last week. A Nigerian president said that flags should be at half-mast. Well, let our leaders learn from Madiba's life of service to his people, because here we serve our leaders. Let them live his kind of life if he truly inspired them. God bless Nigeria.
And taking you away from that, Obochi Sil Amechi writes us from Abuja, and he writes us on the comment by President Jonathan that PDP remains party to beat. He goes on to say, President Jonathan yesterday told whoever cares to hear that PDP still remains the party to beat come 2015. A very good observation from Mr. President, but he must understand that a house fighting against itself is bound to fall. He must strive as much as possible to put an end to the PDP problems, or else they will be counting their losses after 2015. The earlier this is done, the better for PDP and Nigeria in general. God bless Nigeria as we prepare for 2015 elections.
The big thief versus the small thief. It's the title of this mail coming from Seal, who is writing us in Kubwa in Abuja here. And he goes on to say, the Jigawa state governor told whoever cared to hear that in Nigeria there exist two classes of thieves, the big thieves and the small ones. It is a shame that we only elect thieves as leaders. It is time we stopped washing our dirty linen in the public. We all know that things are not getting better, but we do not need those of them at the helm of affairs to tell us publicly. The earlier we start fighting corruption, both at the federal and state levels, the better for this country.
And on Oshomole's issue with the Go and Die widow, Josiah Tumlabi writes us from Edo State, and he says, I want to know if the 2 million naira the Go and Die widow received from Governor Adams came from his pocket, or was it state funds? If it is from the state fund, is it justifiable for a state official to use state funds for personal politics? And if he can reward a widow who by breaking the law got him angry to the extent of wishing that to a fellow human being, what is he doing to all other widows that have been law-abiding?
What will happen to the threat on ASU is a question Progress FA writing us from Lampese in Edo State is asking. And it says, I want to ask our Minister of Education what will happen next to ASU, now that it appears that ASU will not resume work today. Will he go ahead to really sack them? If yes, where does he hope to employ the needed staff for our universities?
And lastly, on the ASUP strike, Abdul Usman writes us from Abuja. He says, the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics strike is 69 days old today without knowing their major grievance with the federal government, and the government is not saying any word on their issue. The union closed since 4th of October. This is not a good idea for the future of Nigeria.
Okay, this is where we wrap it up on the mail segment. Do keep sending us your mails with your name and where you're writing us from to politicalplatform@yahoo.com.
Yeah, keep the mails coming. We are glad that that last mail on ASUP, some of the questions will be answered. We told you earlier that the leadership of ASUP are here. Chibuzo Asumora, the president of ASUP, and Nda Umar Usman, the secretary general of ASUP, are right here in the studio. And going to Benin, I will tell you that we have more stories for you. Now we are going to be sending some signals to the police authorities. I read an interview with Joy Fije, Mrs. Joy Fije, the Go and Die widow we have always been talking about at the weekend. And one sad line that came out of the interview is that her husband dropped dead in office. A police working with the police dropped dead in the office in 2010, and as we speak, no dime has been paid to the family for no gratuity. Nothing has been paid to the family. She said she with her children, they've been to Lagos about 2 or 3 times, fee forms, and they asked them to wait. 2010 and this is 2013. Nothing has been heard from them. This is just one woman God would definitely use to touch the authorities of those who are insensitive, those who believe that they have the powers and they can do it the way they want. I think God has probably chosen her to use her to reach out to. So we are not going to be talking just about her and the police alone. We are going to be talking about her and the other people whose husbands have died in the course of duty, active
service to
fatherland, and we just keep a blind eye. We do not care and we do not pay. So many women, widows, have left and have abandoned the cause of fighting for their husbands, their breadwinners' benefit, because over the years they have waited, just like this woman. So this is just one that will come back to someday, and we'll begin to take a look at what the police actually doing with those who drop dead in active service and they do not care about whether they get the kind of benefits that they should have.
Oh, here sometimes you see the police high authorities call the press to issue out checks. It used to be 500,000, but very recently they increased it to 1 million. Of course, you surely know that most of these actions are media show. The bulk of those that die, it takes a lot of time. If you ask that Go and Die widow, yes, if you interrogate her further, and she decides to tell you the truth, from what I have gathered, from what other widows have told me, if you know the kind of demands those in high authority in the police who are in a position to pay them what is due to them, make on them and their children, especially the female ones, this is not what we can begin to talk about here. Then you really appreciate the enormity of the plight they really go through. 1 million, the plight of the policemen who die in service was thrown up recently in Nasarawa State during that Ombase killing. What did the operatives of the SSS get when they died?
15 million naira
Yes,
each.
so
You can tell you that authoritatively.
we even hear that, I don't know whether that is true, that they got a house in addition to that. And what did the policemen that were also killed in that
They
same
are still
incident
compiling
get,
the list.
to pay them a miserable 1 million? That is why when you see a policeman on patrol in the highway and you tell him, come, please come to our aid, there are armed robbers operating in that road, and you ask you where,
with a bottle of beer
he will tell you which, what point. If you point at the north, then they enter their vehicles and make just a drive off
to the
south. With in high speed, because if they die in the process, who's going to take care of the children and who's going to take care of the family? This is just 1 million. Well, these are the big questions we have to ask.
The police IG told us during the weekend, and he said that the corruption in the police, they have gone down drastically by 80% because of the dismantling of the roadblock.
I agree with you.
And where that is
very commendable.
That's a very good one.
Yeah.
Please, can the IG also tell us what is happening to the widows of policemen who die? They are not even asking for the 1 million naira that they are entitled to if they die in active service. They are asking for the ordinary gratuity that they are ordinarily entitled to in the course of their job with the police. Even if I was told by Marilyn Yoga, I can tell you authoritatively.
That's the spokesperson of the SSS.
That those who, some of those who died, about 10 of them who died in the Ombase crisis, some of them had not spent up to 5 years in the service. I mean, they were very young. They were not even ordinarily entitled to some of the entitlement benefit, but they provided it for them. That is a force that recognizes that, look, we must provide for our people. We are not to say that SSS officials, operatives have it all, but at least some basic things at the point of need, when the family need the government to come to their aid. The police should please just change for good. Now,
if they make that provision, if they, as a matter of policy, approve that policy in force headquarters, the lawmakers will be kind enough to make provisions in the budget for that, if there's a need for such.
Now, I just want to quickly also comment on the Nelson Mandela and the meeting, the church service yesterday, and all that is flying around about qualities. And it's generally agreed that in this part of the world, particularly in Africa, when you have a Mugabe that is around, when you have an Obasanjo who is glowingly paying tribute to a man who, in fact, some of our leaders should just have kept quiet at this period. If Obasanjo is saying that Mandela has great qualities and Nigerians should emulate them, I don't believe that is a gospel that is coming from a good pastor or a good imam. You do just look at the face of a pastor in a beer parlor asking you not to drink. That is how I see it. Now, we have to really look at the qualities. What are those things that stood Mandela's out? I am glad that the president himself seemed to agree that we are lacking some of them. But how do we really get to a level where we have selfless leaders, people who can make sacrifice, who can put Nigeria on the table, and not their families, not their ethnic groups, not their religious inclinations, those who will put Nigeria on the table and work so that at the end of the day, we all stand up and say, this man or this woman lived for the interest of the ordinary Nigerian.
Ohiri Mandela did not do anything out of this world. He just did two simple things. He did not show greed, and when it matters most, he decided to go for one term, even when there was great pressure on him to continue, and when it was obvious that he would win, he refused to do that. And secondly, he refused to pursue vendetta against perceived opponents. These were just the two things that made him great. And talking about Obasanjo, recall that Obasanjo was the first president, head of state in Africa to voluntarily return power to a civilian elected government. That was why his reputation and international standing rose so high after that, and he destroyed most of them when he made attempts to get the third term. And our president pointing accusing fingers at our leaders, saying that they lack the qualities of Obasanjo. Of course, the general saying that the qualities of Mandela, when you point one finger at people you're criticizing,
four of the fingers.
Four others are pointing back at you. That's the problem of trying to be a judge and criticize others when you're in a position of authority. If he is pointing one finger at our leaders, he says we are dictatorial and they not imbibe and exhibit the qualities of Mandela, then four others are pointing at him. Maybe he also needs to read books about Mandela and, of course, the sacrifices he made.
I don't know why you are coloring it up, Amechi. Some people are already asking him to honor the gentleman agreement that he reached, that he's not going to ask for an additional term, and that there was a meeting in a meeting in which he knew. And actually, when he traveled out of Nigeria, I'm happy that Amechi, you were at that. You were a State House correspondent
in Addis Ababa.
In Addis Ababa, when this president, our own president, Goodluck Jonathan, said he was going to stay just with this tenure. He will not seek a second term. Now the issues are up. Did he say it? His men says he did not say anything like that. There's no agreement anywhere. Did Goodluck Jonathan ask people to go out to meet people in the north and all over Nigeria to tell them that he will run for a second term? This is the question of the integrity that those who are angry with him are talking about. So when you are talking about Mandela, like you said, when you live in a glass house, you do not throw stone. Now let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll be going straight to the Academic Staff Union of Universities strike, a Polytechnics strike that is crippling all the polytechnics in Nigeria. Of course, we'll also be talking about ASU, the strike that the president and the minister has said that if it is possible for the university teachers to be sacked today, but the university teachers have said they are not going back to class. Today, Monday, that the 9th is the day that we're waiting for what is going to happen. But on today's program, we'll be devoting much of the time to the Polytechnics. Now, let's go straight to the issue on hand with the Polytechnic. I just right away introduce the president of ASUP, that is the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, Chibuzo Asmoga. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Remy. Good morning.
And he's joined by Uma Usman, Secretary General of ASUP. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Now, we just go straight because of the time. What are the real issues with the Polytechnics? One of our listener has said this is the 69th day. I don't know if you are counting too, if that is correct. If that is correct. But that was actually a bridge. There was actually a bridge between the first strike and the second strike. If you merge them, it's a very long.
If you merge them, it will be chasing about 5 months.
About 5 months. Now, what is happening with the Polytechnics?
Let me just reiterate, the issues. When we started, actually, first, at the top of our actually demand is that government should reconsider really, the discrimination, the discrepancy against HND graduates.
Okay.
At the point of entry in public service and in their career progression. And these were issues we brought, before. I
thought something was done during the Obasanjo regime.
Something was done during the Obasanjo regime. But what happened after that was that, because the bureaucracy, they stepped down on that. And up until today, it is not recognized even in civil service. It was a presidential directive.
The Polytechnic graduate who somebody has HND still has an uphill task climbing to the top ladder.
In fact, they stop them at a point. Even
at what point do they stop them now?
In civil service, you stop if at 14 at most.
You cannot go to 15. You cannot go to 16. You cannot hope of becoming a permanent secretary.
No, you cannot. No, you can't even be a director. Even in the Polytechnics where they are produced from, they can't even hope to be heads of department. They can't hope to be deans. They can't hope to be rectors. Even when you are doing the same job with people who hold other degrees.
What is the second most important? Just list them. What are the other?
Let's just run through them. We had an agreement with government in 2009, and the agreement provides in itself that it was going to be renegotiated in 2012. As early as February 2012, we began to bring the issue before the minister then, the former minister, Rukayat. And up until now, government has not
What is the kernel of this agreement? What are the kernels? What are the
key aspects?
The key aspects.
These are the issues also that are coming in our demands, which I'm going to list. Okay, that is one. Then we also talked about the need for the reconstitution of governing councils. That had been done really. We said that the migration of the lower cadres, of academic staff and actually all staff of polytechnics on a salary scale that government approved in 2009, started operating in 2010 for 12 and above, but for the lower cadres hadn't been operated even up until now that we are talking about. Also, the release of the white paper on the visitation to federal polytechnics, that was done about a year and 6 months ago, and the white paper is still there, and the councils have been appointed, and they are working in the dark. because they need the report of the white paper, so that they will be able to know where to, plug, the leaks in the polytechnic system. Also, we looked at the need for the commencement of needs assessment of Nigerian polytechnics, and I must say, to the credit of government, the committees have been set up, because of the.
Have they started work?
Yeah, they are working, slowly rather. Then the institution of a comprehensive funding portfolio for Nigerian polytechnics. As you will understand that, the universities have been able to give an idea of what their funding needs are.
Yes.
But we know that if we have a needs assessment, because the needs assessment had been done for universities, so they were able to actually know exactly this is where we need funding.
You want that to be done for the
Yeah, that's what we're asking. And then we are saying the worrisome conditions of state-owned polytechnics in Nigeria. Because we are talking education, although we say education is on the concurrent list. But what you discover is that the degrees, the certificates are awarded, are accepted nationwide.
Yes.
And then you find that the standards are not kept, even in some state polytechnics.
Some state polytechnics are underfunded.
They become glorified secondary schools.
Sometimes you find that the secondary school in some states are even better. We went to a state where the primary school is even better than some polytechnics. Now we are talking about the continued appointment of unqualified persons as rectors and provosts of polytechnics.
The councils don't have the powers to appoint like in the universities?
The councils have the power at the federal level.
Okay.
The
states.
The state level, anything can happen.
Okay.
Anybody can be appointed.
Can be appointed.
In some places, they even bring people from the ministry to come and head, institutions of higher learning that award HNDs. Then also we looked at the refusal of most state governments to implement, the approved salary package, which we call Comcast. And then we are also saying that, these EPs, there are peculiarities concerning EPs, from the Accountant General's office, and we're saying that it has to be.
What's EPs, please?
EPs, that is the centralized payment system that the government is talking about now. And we're looking at the peculiarities of the academic system, and we're saying that they had better, model the system, so that in such a way that it will fit into our system. We are asking them. Then we are also thinking that, and we had demanded that government should set up a national polytechnics commission. Because if you
like you have universities,
you have commission for the universities, you have commission for the college of education, but you don't have a commission for polytechnics.
Now let us talk about the politics of it, because our time is gone. Let me come to the Secretary General Usman. Now the politics of it is what we are interested in here. The ordinary person, the Nigerian that is listening to you out there will say, are these enough? These issues you have put on the table, are they enough to shut down the polytechnics? Can't we be studying and take a look at some of these issues? Can't you continue? Should you not continue to engage the government in getting some of these issues rather than just shut down the polytechnics?
Well, I think the government of the day prefer strike, and that's the best language they actually understand. And when you continue to work, then nobody get to hear you. Once you declare strike,
is there a negotiation going on between ASUP and government now?
Yes, we are talking.
When last did you meet?
About 2 months ago.
You mean
before the university strike actually got to this stage.
Then it appears there's no talking going on. If for 2 months there's nothing going on, will be no discussion.
That is actually the problem, because it's not as if ASUP just started a strike. Nobody loves strikes. As a matter of fact, as I told you, we have started this engagement formally with government in February 2012, and we declared the first strike. In fact, we gave an intention for going on strike in December 2012. That ultimatum, we gave a 3-month ultimatum,
and it lapsed.
Which was not regular, but we said let's give a 3-month ultimatum. It lapsed. Government didn't do anything. Still, we didn't go on strike. We were still with government until March, when we now gave another ultimatum. 7 days.
Are we not trading in a stereotype here, where the polytechnic is not actually important to those who are in authority? Is not as important as it were. So if you are on strike for 2 months, nobody calls you. Even if you go around shouting, nobody cares to listen to you, and the students are at home. Are we not trading in this same problem you are talking about, that the polytechnics are neglected? And they don't really care whether you go to places, whatever happens. And also, you also sit down Because there's this attitude that the members of the public, those who have been writing to us, also say that you are also okay. They are not calling us. We are waiting for them. And for 2 months, you have waited. Nothing has happened.
No, we didn't say we are waiting for them. We have been making moves, because you don't just sit down. Because at this point, there is a deliberate, and that's what we're saying. There is a deliberate profiling. Even at the policy making level, at the executive level, at almost every level, of input in this nation, to program the psyche of Nigerians, to think that polytechnic education is a less desirable place to go for tertiary education. And, when we have that kind of profiling, it is a psychological thing in Nigeria. So that you find that however you look at it, that is how it plays out. But recently, we have also tried to reach out. Perhaps this is not something we say on air, to people we have reached out to say, okay, get to government, because let me put it at this point. When government convinced us, to suspend the strike, we did, predicated on their understanding and their assurances that in 2 weeks' time, that four core issues that we're able to extract, will be resolved.
Now, we must go now. And before we go, what is the way forward? Let me ask the General Secretary, what is the way forward? Where are we now? And what hopes have thousands, if not millions of students who are at home, Polytechnic students, who have, even those who are getting admission to the Polytechnic, they can't even go to school. What is the way forward?
Simple. Meet our demands and we're back.
If they don't meet your demand, you are not going back?
Yes.
Now, the president of ASUP, that is also the position. You believe your Secretary General is speaking the mind of all polytechnics?
Actually, the demand, as I was trying to explain, we had 4 core issues that we were able to extract. And we said if government could meet this, and government agreed they could meet this, just 4 out of the 15 that we have. And we said if you could meet this, then we'll come back.
Quickly, those 4, before we...
Those 4, the migration, the white paper, the constitution of governing councils, the needs assessment, 2 have been met fully. Now the migration, which is also
so only 2 are outstanding now.
2 are outstanding.
Out of the 4.
But even out of the 2, our members are willing to audit, our present engagement if government is able to complete what it has started in the migration.
You are bending backward a lot for the government.
Honestly, yes, we have. Quite to the point that our backs are breaking.
Chibuzo Asumowa, President ASUP, that is the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, and Nda Uma Usman, Secretary General of the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming to our studios.
Thank you very much.
And that's how we're going to be wrapping it up on the program. We just do hope that you can also send us your comments. Tell us what you think about this position of the Polytechnics and what you think the government should do. It does not appear that there's a conspiracy of do nothing so that the schools are not reopened. Okiri Agbonsuremi here. On behalf of my colleagues, please do have a wonderful week ahead.